How's it going, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new test hand video, this time around featuring Atlantean Mermails. Build has changed quite a bit, I guess not quite a bit, but I've added in Deep Sea Minstrel and found pretty good use of the card through my own testing, which is what I want to do. I obviously know all the comments, people being like, hey, you should really give Minstrel a try, you know, play it for this, that, and the other reason. But, you know, I found my own reasonings for playing it, and of course, really happy to be playing it. I mean, it's still, again, I don't think it's the greatest card in the world. Obviously, it's not Searching Us Teus, which of course I think would be the end-all be-all. At the end of the day, I think we can all agree on that. But it's still a pretty good card. I'm currently playing it at 1 and am liking it at 1. But I've also got some other interesting ideas that I want to share in this particular video as we go throughout it. So the deck has been shuffled quite a bit beforehand. I do want to mention, if you guys want to support the channel in other ways other than just watching, of course, you can do so by checking out Imperium Duelist down in the description below if you're interested in this playmat that I'm using, or these sleeves, or perhaps picking up a deck box, or maybe some new dice to go along with said deck box, like these you know, spell and trap themed dice with nice little designs on it. Like this one's got Mystical Space Typhoon, and this one has Scapegoat. Scapegoat coming both in red and green colors. So you can get everything on their site for 10% off using that discount code WinterKills10off at checkout. And of course, it does help support the channel. And also, if you guys are buying anything on TCG Player, do not forget to use my affiliate link located at the first link in the description below. And anytime you guys buy cards using that link, a small bit of revenue will go back into the channel. And of course, if you want to go above and beyond and get some other cool perks and rewards out of it in the process, consider hitting that blue join button just down over here below the subscribe, or next to the subscribe button, I believe. But yeah, let's go ahead and just cut right to the chase here and get into the first test hand of the video. We're gonna do all going first test hands here and see what we can make happen. This hand looking absolutely nothing other than just outright bonkers. Already opening Teus Dragoons, which of course is, I mean, what else could you ask for right there? I'm tempted though to Moray of Greed them back to the deck. No, I'm just kidding. So what I actually am going to do is Moray of Greed the launcher and the Diva back to the deck, since we've already got the bag secured, of course, in the form of that Teus Dragoons. So we're just going to go ahead and do a quick shuffle here and see if we can't get ourselves into some other more valuable extenders, something that could sort of build on a bit more to this hand. We open up Dragoons, launcher, copy of Upstart Goblin, which we will hold for the time being. Actually, no, let's just go ahead and play it right now. We draw into a copy of Marksman, which is fine. And speaking of, we'll talk about Marksman a little bit later, you know, which is, you know, to talk about some of the other ideas that I have, which I'll talk about after this hand. But we'll start with the Teus and the Dragoons here. Also trying to dig into something like Call by the Grave as well. But we'll ditch Teus for Dragoons. And we're going to add a copy of Deep Sea Minstrel, and we'll go for a copy of Gund here as well. So yeah, we'll add the Minstrel and the Gund here, and this extra Dragoons we were able to draw is actually going to come in clutch, because we're still going to be able to get to Diva, and we're also going to be able to scope out the opponent's hand for hand traps while doing so, which is pretty nice if you ask me. So we're going to go ahead and add Deep Sea Diva here, and if they do have more than one hand trap, we're pretty much kind of out of luck here, because, you know, if they have like Ash and Valor in their hand, which are both pretty common hand traps, let's say we knock an Ash out of the hand, then of course then they still have Valor, and, you know, vice versa. But either way, we're going to continue on here and hope that they don't have two hand traps for us. But again, that of course is a very real possibility. Something else we could have done different: instead of adding the Gun, we could have added the Pike, and instead of adding the Dragoons off of the, or adding the Deep Sea Diva off the Dragoons Minstrel Search, we could have added Prince, and we could have normal summoned the Pike, and regardless if they would have had Valor or not, we still discard for cost to then revive that of the Dragoons in order to make Bahamut Shark, or then if they have another hand trap there, obviously they stop the Toad from coming up, but again, that was another option, but we'll just play it out this way. And we'll go ahead and summon an Neptibus, and I was actually able to pick up another foreign copy, a French one from a friend of mine, so shout out to Steve for hooking me up with that. So now I have a German one, a French one, and an Italian one, so I figured I'd update you guys on that for those that are interested. But either way, we're going to use the effective Prince here, And we're gonna send Dragoons to add Dragoons and Megalo here if we actually have another copy of Dragoons in the deck, which we do not have currently, which isn't the end of the world. So we still have to add, of course, a Atlantean monster here. That's not itself, so we'll just add a copy of Heavy Infantry. So we'll send Dragoons to add Infantry and a copy of Megalo. So now what we're gonna do is link these two into a copy of that of Helka Fibrax. Helka Fibrax is gonna do what it does and summon out Fishborg Launcher, or it could summon out, like Deep Sea Diva for like easier access to the Ravenous Crocosaur Arquetus. And Ravenous Crocosaur is actually something I wanted to talk about in just a moment. So now we're gonna go Megalo, and we'll discard both the Gund and the Launcher. We'll go Chainlink 1, Gund, Chainlink, or actually we'll go Chainlink 1, Megalo, Chainlink 2, Gund. We'll revive the Teus, and we're gonna go ahead and search that of Abyss Scale of the Mizuchi. And from here, we can go ahead and synchro into a level 9, which is going to be for either Trish if you want to, or we can go for Ravenous Crocosaur, and that will net us 2 more draws. We draw into Call by the Grave and Deep Sea Aria, which is pretty nice, not gonna lie. And then we can go ahead and revive Fishborg Launcher here and synchro these two into a copy of the Adamancipator Risen Dragite, which we will also put in defense position so we don't have to worry about something like Lightning Storm. And our Crocosaur currently has 2,500 additional attack and defense, so putting it up to 35 and 35. And of course, we could always Deep Sea Aria one of these cards away for another Heavy Infantry to be able to pop 3 cards off of our Ravenous Crocosaur, which is pretty darn good. We also have a Call by to boot, and we can set that obviously for further interruption. So not a bad hand there. And again, we also have the opportunity to tag out Helka Fibrax during the opponent's turn for Formula Synchron to draw a card, and also synchro for the Spent Dragite if it comes up for a copy of Satellite Warrior to pop 2 more cards. So again, all in all, not a bad test hand there. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about Ravenous Crocosaur Arquetus, specifically its combination with Helka Fibrax, is because with Helka Fibrax, and of course Diva being a nice level 2 tuner, we have a very easy way to get into Arquetus just by having any of our level 7 Mermails on board, whether it be Teus or Megalo. You know, we can simply summon out Diva from the deck and just go right into the Arquetus for a draw 1. Now, a draw 1 doesn't seem too enticing, but what if that draw could be any water monster of your choosing? Now, you're probably like, Winter, how is that possible? Well, one person in particular, Bound in my Discord, brought this card to my attention. I knew this card existed, but I really never actually fully knew what it did, and if there was any synergy for it to be had within the Mermail deck. And this card says, when this card is activated, you can place 1 water monster from your deck on top of your deck. And yeah, so basically you can draw any water monster in your deck with Ravenous Crocosaur Arquetus. I'm not currently running this in this build. I'm still waiting on 2 other copies to play it, 2 other physical copies to be able to put in here. And I want to test that build against this build essentially, so that's why I'm making a test end video without it. I'll be making one with it in the future, probably within the next week. You guys can look for that. But I think there's some pretty good potential there. It kind of reminds me of the Necroz play you used to be able to do with Lavalval Chain and Valkyrus, where you could stack any card at the top of your deck and Valkyrus could draw it for you. It's essentially the same thing with this card, except you can just stack any water monster and now draw it with Ravenous Crocosaur, or even something like Upstart, obviously, but Crocosaur is a bit more accessible. Now, the only problem with this is that this is a field spell and is not searchable by any of the other Deep Sea cards that I'm aware of. So essentially it's just a 4 with that copy of Terraforming. So that is its only downside. So now some cards I would particularly cut in here for the 3 Terraforming, or the 1 Terraforming and the 3 field spell would probably be a Deep Sea Aria. I would probably also cut Pot of Avarice. That would probably go. I'd also cut Marksman, and the other card I'm really not sure of at the moment. It might be 1 Fishborg Launcher. It might be 1 Gameciel. I'm not entirely sure, but I think there's definitely room in my main deck in particular to give a card like this a shot. And I'm just going to put this in the center up here as a field center for the rest of the video, I guess, just so I I guess just to show that we've got that point out of the way. But that also sort of gives a bit more purpose to that draw combo that I had with the Dracosac and Ravenous Crocosaur combo that you guys have seen. That sort of gives that combo a little bit more purpose with something like Megalanica, being able to essentially stack that top card and make it any water monster again of your choosing. So that's just some really interesting stuff, and it's new, it's different, and I definitely want to give it a try. It's something that's obviously not going to come up in every particular hand, because again, it's not that searchable, but it is something that can sort of be within the realm of possibility. So we're going to summon Teus here. We're going to discard the Gameciel here since we are going first. And what are we going to add? Our options are kind of limited here, so I'm going to actually just go for a copy of Gun. I mean, I was also thinking about possibly cutting Abyssmander and ditching the whole True King of All Calamities thing because, with Forbidden Droplet being in the game, that's just another counter to that of the True King of All Calamities. I mean, Gamma is also being played more, same thing with Impermanence. So I may cut it just because I just don't like it taking up a spot in the extra deck, since it's one of those things where you can only ever get to it if you can get to Teus, and Teus isn't searchable, of course, unless it's something by Alacia, but then of course your turn's already passed. So, but now we're going to Deep Sea Aria. We're going to banish the Gameciel. We're going to add a copy of Deep Sea Diva. Now, another issue here that sort of gives way to itself, presents itself, is the fact that if this hand is met with any resistance in the form of a hand trap, we really don't have much of a play. Because the way this hand is playing out, we did not have access to a Sea Serpent search via Minstrel early on. And the one opportunity that we did have to get it, we have to use it on something like Prince or Diva, or else we just don't have a play. Now, granted, if we do go ahead and get Minstrel here, we can use it. But again, like I said, we don't have any follow-ups to sort of continue playing. So my only option here is to go for Infantry and use that extra inherent effect for a normal summon, another normal summon of the Deep Sea Diva. And if this is met with a hand trap here, our only play is to go into Halqifibrax for Fishborg Launcher to go ahead and then Synchro for Adamantipated Risen Draga, giving us at least a spell negate, plus a draw, plus pop 2 on the opponent's turn at worst, which isn't so bad when you think about it. It's not absolutely terrible. So that would just be the play line there if that was met with any sort of resistance. And again, I guess that's also hoping that our Halqifibrax goes through as well. So we'll use the Neptibus il Principi Atlantico, and we will send Dragoons, and we will add Dragoons and Megalo, the classic, classic. And we will go ahead and now Synchro here, or not Synchro, but Link rather. I'm just deciding which one we want to link with. And I'm actually going to go with these two, because I like leaving the level 1 on the field because that helps us to get into Crocosaur. Now, we did open Aria here this hand, which potentially, based on the cards I was going to cut, could have been a Megalanica or a Terraforming. But the thing is, the Deep Sea Aria would have been much better in this particular hand to open with than the field spell. So, I mean, granted, this card can attribute to bricks pretty much just the same as Aria can in some situations where, you don't have ways to get discards into the grave. Or, the rest of your hand is just so subpar, but, I don't know. I still really want to give it a shot regardless. So now what I'm going to do here is go ahead and Synchro all of these into Ravenous Crocosaur Arquetus. We'll go ahead and draw 1, 2. We pick up a Teus and a Prince. Not the best draws, but not the worst draws. Now we can go ahead and summon this Megalo by discarding Dragoons and the Gund. And we'll go ahead and use them as follows. We'll go Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, Chainlink 3. And Gund will go ahead and revive this Teus. And we will go ahead and search a Sea Serpent here, which I'm trying to see if we have room for Moonland Glacia. 2, 4, 6, 7. Currently don't have room for a Moonland Glacia, which is unfortunate. We also really weren't able to play through, or play around, I guess, that of... I mean, we technically could have, off of that Diva search, I guess we could have gotten Minstrel and Dragoons. But I think we'd definitely be missing out a little bit on board presence. So I guess it's sort of just pick your poison at that point as to what you value more. So now we can go for Lapis Dragon here. And we can summon Lapis Dragon to the field. And also want to make sure we search off of Mizuchi here also. So we can go for Lapis Dragon, and this will allow us to link for Alacia much easier instead of having to, use other resources. So we can go for Alacia, and that'll be good because we can give something to our Mizuchi to equip to, and we can also use Launcher's other effect here to go ahead and synchro for that of Dragite, and we can put this on the field as well. And this hand too, we have a copy of Infantry in hand as well as something like Neptibus, so we have good discard outlets for our Crocus, or good discards in general for the outlet that is Crocosaur. So we can pop 2 here, we can negate a spell or trap here, negate a spell or trap here, or potentially pop a monster here. So yeah, I guess what we could do is use Alacia to pitch like the Neptibus, or we could just pitch the Infantry, pop a card there, search any Mermail monster like Mander, and then, use a Crocosaur to pitch like these 2, pop another card, however you want to do it. I guess it doesn't make too big of a difference. But yeah, it's a pretty solid board nonetheless, and again, we have the option for the Formula Synchron into the Satellite Warrior on their turn as well, if everything else isn't enough. But like I said, we could have also gone for the Minstrel play there, but again, I think we would have missed out on a little bit of board presence, but it could have been possibly worth it to stop like something like Nibiru. But I feel like Nibiru is falling a bit out of favor this format, because I feel like most of the top decks currently really have a way to stop Nibiru before it can become an issue, and they also have ways to play through Nibiru. So a little bit more weight off of Minstrel's shoulders, because you don't always have to constantly worry about sniping Nibiru, but Mermail still is one of those decks that is greatly affected by Nibiru. So you should still, I guess, always be trying to go for it if you can, but there I wanted to showcase, I guess, a little bit of a different play line. So let's see what our next hand is, and it is Double Teus, Launcher, Aria, and Moray of Greed. So I am going to Moray of Greed away the Teus and the Launcher, and hopefully we can draw into something better. Hopefully the Dragoons, or we'll take even like, I guess even a Minstrel at this point would be nice, or a Prince, or a Diva, whichever of those we will take, or really any way to get a discard going I think would be perfectly fine. So let's give the deck a classic cut, put the Moray of Greed to the grave, we draw a Gund, Fishborg Launcher, and another copy of Teus. So Drew, I think, we just draw 2 of the same cards off of that. It is what it is, and there's not much else to be said. So we will go ahead and summon Teus by discarding the, I guess we'll have to discard the Teus, because I'd rather not discard both of these. So Teus, discarding Teus, and here we will go ahead and grab, let's see, we've already got Gund in hand, so we might as well go for Abyssmander here if I can find it. There it is. We'll Deep Sea Aria now for that Teus, and we'll go for a copy of Diva. I mean, actually with this particular hand, I think it would be, no, we can't do the Anti-Nibiru play through Pike because we don't have anything engraved currently. So we do have to go for Diva here, unfortunately. And if we do get hit with a hand trap, this is one of those hands where I don't think we can do anything about it. We just can't. So Type C Doucher, we'll go ahead and summon out that of Neptibus, and Neptibus will send Dragoons and add Dragoons. And I guess we could go for Minstrel here to do a bit of a different play as opposed to the last turn. This time we'll actually go for the Minstrel this time around. So we'll go ahead and use the Aria here, and or the Minstrel rather, with the Dragoons, and we'll go ahead and search a Megalo off of that. Or we could add Moulin Glacia. It's really up to you, but we get to sort of cherry pick a card out of their hand before we go any further, which of course is always welcomed. So now we're gonna go ahead and discard. Actually, let's go ahead and link the Diva and the Teus off first into a copy of Helka Fibrax, and that will summon a copy of Fishborg Launcher from the deck, or Deep Sea Diva, really whatever you fancy. I'm just gonna go for that other copy of Fishborg Launcher, just because the more the merrier, the more tuners the better. Now we're going to summon Megalo. We'll discard Gund and Mander. Since we already have access to a Fishborg Launcher on the board, we'll go Chainlink 2 Gund, Chainlink 1 Megalo. We could technically summon the Mander here and do things with that, but I don't think there's too much we can really do with it, so I'm just going to go ahead and summon out Teus. And we'll go ahead and search that copy of Mizuchi, which is right on the top of the deck, conveniently enough for us. So here we do have the option to go for Ravenous Crocosaur using this, and this. We could also just go for Dragite and then go for Alacia, or we could go for True King of All Calamities. There's a few play lines to make here. It's really just deciding on what you think is best. Now, if we looked at their hand with Minstrel, we can sort of decide whether or not VFD is going to be the next play to make. You know, depending on what cards they might have in the hand. They have something like Forbidden Droplet, or if they have just something that will, you know, deal with the VFD or the True King of All Calamities a little easier, might not be the way to go. So we can sort of custom tailor our board at this point to whatever they have in their hand. The True King of All Calamities play is a little boring, admittedly. So I mean, I guess if you want to go for that, you can. So you can go ahead and like banish the Mander, make these level 9, go for True King of All Calamities, and then link these two into Alacia and call it a day. So I guess that's what we'll do. So we'll link these two into Alacia and put that there, and we'll go ahead and overlay these two by banishing this, make them level 9, and then we'll go ahead and summon that True King of All Calamities, just because I feel like that's the more meta relevant play currently. And we also, again, still have the option to tag out Halqifibrax for that of the Formula Synchron to draw an additional card, and maybe it's an infantry, and lo and behold, it is an infantry. So we get a pop technically with this hand, but don't consider that a guarantee, obviously, because it's not. We just kind of got lucky. So not a bad hand overall. We could also done like Crocosaur into Dragite for you know, those plays, but we'll take the True King of All Calamities. We could have also made Abyss Gaios as well. We could have also just hard made Formula Synchron also. There's tons of different plays we could do that one. I always say there's always options, because there always is with this deck. There's always plenty of options. I almost forgot to shovel the Mizuchi back into the deck. Also, I want to mention this is my second time recording this video, because the first time I recorded it, my mic was making a weird buzzing noise, which is obviously no good. So and that was also happening over, you know, in half of the entire video. And I was like, might as well just restart. So let's go ahead and draw into our next hand here. And it looks like it is pretty filled with pieces. A whole lot of pieces, not a lot of, you know, full playmakers like Teus or Magla or anything like that. We just got the small little Atlanteans. So actually, I'm going to start with the infantry and then normal summon that of Prince, just because extra bodies on field are always welcome. So we'll go ahead and send Dragoons and add Dragoons and a copy of Minstrel, because why not? Since we already have another copy. I don't know if I would do this if we didn't have another copy of Dragoons in our hand already, but again, it's just more, you know, better safe than sorry. So we'll pitch Dragoons and Minstrel here. We'll go ahead and take a look at the hand, take out a good card, whatever we feel is going to benefit us the most, and we'll go ahead and surge a copy of Megalo. And I actually did get an opportunity to test this build in a few duels, one of which will be going up soon or is already up at this point, so feel free to check it out if it's up or when it comes out. Now we're going to go ahead and discard Megalo, or discard for Megalo rather, and go Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. We'll go ahead and search. We'll actually search Moulin Glacia here, because we have Fishborg Launcher in grave. So we'll search Moulin Glacia here. We'll summon this to the field. They're down a total of 3 cards now. And we can summon this Fishborg Launcher from the graveyard. And we can go ahead and link these two into Halqifibrax. And Halqifibrax can go for another Fishborg Launcher, the other copy in the deck. And we can't use Fishborg Launcher's graveyard effect again. This also should be banished. My apologies. We can't use this graveyard effect again. But what we still can do is either go into Dragite or go into Ravenous Crocus or Arquetus, which I think is what I'm going to do for this particular combo to mix it up a bit. And we'll draw 1, 2 cards, and that draws us into Moray of Greed and Atlantean Marksman. Or Moray of Greed and Abyss Megalo, my bad. But we can go ahead and use the Moray of Greed, put the Marksman and the Megalo back into the deck. And try to draw into some other extenders here, or just some good discards for our Crocosaur. Things like Heavy Infantry or Dragoons, whatever it may be. So we'll just go ahead and cut the deck. 1-for-1, Lapis Dragon and Abyssmander. Do we want to summon the Lapis Dragon? No, not really. So we'll just keep it in our hand for the time being. And that's pretty much it for that combo, or that hand, really. And Mizuchi, if anything, at the end of the day, just becomes extra discard fodder for Crocosaur. So during the opponent's turn, we can ditch both of these to pop a card. We can also tag out for Halqifibrax to draw an additional card, which will be something like Gund. And that leaves us with a good bit of cards to work with for next turn to go for a Dragoon or a Prince play. But granted, we don't have much left in the tank because we're out of Dragoons. So, but yeah, we'll go ahead and reset the deck here and draw into another hand. All right, deck is shuffled. Let's go ahead and draw into our next hand here. We have Heavy Infantry, Fishborg Launcher, Deep Sea Diva, Megalo, and a copy of Aria. So I'm liking this hand quite a bit. First things first, we're gonna go ahead and summon Infantry. And then we can go ahead and normal summon the Deep Sea Diva and activate its effect to go for the Neptibus, the Atlantean Prince here. A hand trap would hurt quite a bit here, not gonna lie. It would hurt quite a bit. But what we could still do is link them for Halqifibrax and then possibly resolve Deep Sea Aria. But that really doesn't get us, you know, into a better position, I guess. I'm trying to think, you know, if there's possibly a way, and there is a way. What we could do is like summon Megalo first by discarding the infantry and the launcher, use Aria to go grab, like, actually no, there really is no way we can do it. I'm trying to think there's a way we could get to Minstrel first before we summon the Deep Sea Diva, but I just don't think there is a way. But so we're gonna have to go for this anyways. We'll just play it out fully. We'll send Dragoons, we will add Dragoons, and we will also, that's not Dragoons. We'll add Dragoons and a copy of Minstrel. And we do have Deep Sea Aria in hand here, so that will sort of make up for going for this play. So we'll take a look at the hand again, discard something like Nibiru, whatever it may be. Now we're gonna go ahead and, of course, resolve this search off of Minstrel. And what do I want to grab here? Any Sea Serpents in the deck? I'm gonna go for Moulin Glacia here. Good old Moulin Glacia. And now we're gonna go ahead and Deep Sea Aria, and we'll banish a copy of Dragoons, and I'm going to search another copy of Dragoons, because why not? Why not go ahead and do that? It's always nice to grab more Dragoons. The more, the merrier. So now we're going to link these two into Halqifibrax, again, the star of the show here, seemingly. We'll summon a copy of Fishborg Launcher. We have 4 Waters Engrave. And what we're gonna have to do is special summon this Megalo. We'll go Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. We'll search the Mizuchi, and we will revive, well, we also get another Sea Serpent search here. And I'll also add the Infantry. We could add Diva here for a strict follow-up for next turn, but you know, with the way this board might turn out, we might really not need to have such a good follow-up for next turn. We already have so much advantage built up on our board. So, yeah, what we're going to have to do with this hand is summon Launcher now, and then summon Moulin while we have 5 Engrave. And we can do a lot of synchro stuff now. We can make Crocosaur with these, or we can make Crocosaur with these. And I think that is what I'm going to do. We could also make Dragite. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and make Dragite instead. And we'll put this in defense. And we'll go ahead and link these two for Abyssalacia, because that will give us the opportunity to make live our Heavy Infantry and also give us something to equip our Mizuchi to. So they're down 3 cards, only 2 until the end phase. We have a spell trap negate here, a spell negate here, a pop plus a search here. And we also can use Halqifibrax during the opponent's turn to, again, go into Formula, draw a card, and go into the Satellite Warrior to pop 2 more cards. So plenty of interruption there with that hand. That one was a little rough in the beginning, though, because, again, we didn't have a direct way to get to, to try to peel off hand traps. We didn't have something like Call by the Grave. But overall, not too big of a deal in the end. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle. We'll do our last test hand of the video. All right, so the deck has been shuffled. Let's go ahead and do our last test hand of the video here and see if we can pull off another pretty decent board. We have double Megalo, Prince, 1-for-1, and a copy of Deep Sea Diva. All right, so this 1-for-1 we can use here. Obviously, we don't need to get it. We don't need it for Prince, but we can use it for that of Fishborg Launcher, which help give us easier access to that of Halqifibrax or other Blink monsters that we may need. So for this one, we can go for Deep Sea Diva here. And if they do Ash this, which is very likely, or Impermanent, or Gamma even, or Effect Veiler, we can still follow up with the 1-for-1. So let's actually play it out that way. Let's say they go ahead and actually negate the Deep Sea Diva. Right off the bat, we've committed our normal summon, which is a pretty strong play. They're hoping we don't follow up with Teia Dragoons, but we do have 1-for-1. So we'll follow up with the 1-for-1. And we're still going to get the same card that we were going to summon off the Deep Sea Diva anyways. But the cost of us having to discard 2 cards, essentially, for them only discarding 1, but at least we still get to play. So we'll send Dragoons, we'll add Dragoons, and we'll add Minstrel, because, I mean, you can go for Minstrel here. You don't really have to, considering that for this particular scenario, they've already burned a hand trap. But, we really would, wouldn't hurt to check their hand for anything else at this point. So we can go ahead and pitch Minstrel alongside that of Dragoons, take a look at their hand, catch, like an Impermanence, catch, a Ghost Ogre waiting in the wakes, or whatever it may be, or a Nibiru. Just a few examples. And we can go ahead and search a Sea Serpent here, which I want to go ahead and grab. We already have Neptibus in hand. There really isn't too many other optimal cards to grab here. I wish I could search another copy of Dragoons, to be totally honest, but obviously we can't do that. So let's go ahead and just add a copy of Infantry, just to go ahead and get a search. Or we could possibly hit something like Phantasm out of hand. The possibilities are somewhat endless, I guess. And we'll go ahead and use Chainlinks as follow: Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, Chainlink 3. We will add that Mizuchi, and we will also summon out Dragoons. Or we could summon Infantry here. It's, I guess, kind of up to you at this particular point. And then from here, we can go ahead and synchro, or link rather, the Dragoons and the Diva for Halqifibrax, which should be right there. And we can go ahead and summon Fishborg Launcher, as I've been doing this entire video. And we can do the same play here, sort of, I guess. Saying we could go for Dragite and Crocosaur, but we're going to be short on level 7 monsters with this particular hand. Granted, we did have our Diva get stopped at the beginning of this turn, so take that as it is. So we'll go ahead and just synchro into the Dragite, and that's really all we're going to be able to do. We have this Mizuchi in our hand, which really isn't doing too much, but the Ash, obviously slowed us down a little bit, causing us having to, knock 2 cards out of our hand ourselves in order to continue playing. But still, during the opponent's turn, we had the option to negate a spell or trap, and we also had the opportunity to tag out Halqifibrax into, of course, Formula Synchron, draw an additional card, which in this case happens to be Pike, and then also follow up to quick synchro into that of Satellite Warrior, which will net us 2 more destructions, whatever you want to call them, 2 more pops onto the opponent's field. And yeah, that's pretty much gonna do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to check out the ways to support the channel down in the description. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. It's always Winning Kill Senna. We'll see you guys in the next one. And lastly, of course, I want to give a massive shout out to my Divine Level channel members here on YouTube, Academic Thick, Travis Harris, and Zors. Thank you guys so much for keeping the channel going strong.